Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hey everybody, welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host Jay Light. Joining me today, Andy Haynes.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey Andy, dude. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
I'm glad to finally snag you in while you're in town.
Yeah, I love this. I love this part of the Fairfax Strip. You know,
It's been good.
I love coming over here and looking at all the youth. You know, seeing what the youth culture is all about.
Yeah, seeing what's going on over at the Supreme store.
Yeah, I love walking down this street and just navigating the weird, like mixture of streetwear fanatics and skateboarders and all that goes with them, and then just like ancient, like Eastern Orthodox Jews. It's a fun mix.
Yeah, I never had run into any of the old Eastern Orthodox folks, and then now that I live here, if I walk around like to go get a slice of pizza or go to Canner's or something late at night, and I'll pass by, there's a banquet hall of some sort.
I know it.
They're always there.
Yeah.
Maxim, always hanging out at Maxim.
That's all Russian. I think Russian or some kind of Eastern European Jew. And then I used to live over here, like right on like Santa Monica and Harper. I lived there for like half a year once, and it's the weird combination of, you know, gay men.
Yep.
Very like outwardly buoyant
Yes.
gay men, and then
Some might even say flamboyant.
Yep. And then elderly, just Russian people who are the exact opposite. So it's like the most like, you know, like ebullient, charismatic, celebratory group of people with the most dour, depressed, faithless, you know, just people that survived perestroika, you know.
A lot of people skipping down the sidewalk or suffering from like borscht-induced gout.
Yeah, just a woman just like holding a blind cat, smoking a cigarette while watching a man rollerblade with tassels.
It's a real mixed bag.
It is one of my favorite combinations. I live in New York, and we have those combinations, but it's too mixed that you don't get the like polarization of like Russian and then gay men. You get, you know, like Nepali, Chinese, Ecuadorian, you know, whatever.
I feel like LA, the neighborhoods are still divided up enough, and they haven't really intermingled as much as New York. New York has been around for so long that everything has sort of been crossbred into everything else.
They ruined the entire city. They brought in 7-Eleven and they killed the bodega. No, it's cool. I like New York. I think it is different, but it's still New York. You know, people complain about. I heard a good quote about it the other day. It was because it's always New York versus LA.
Right.
And it was New York is different than it used to be, but LA is the best it's ever been. And I think that's true.
Yeah. I am somebody, I've been in LA. I just hit my 7-year anniversary in LA.
Nice.
And I've been feeling so much better about being here than I ever have before. I've always kind of wanted to jump ship and go to New York just because I liked, every time I've gone out there, I've appreciated the vibe of the way people approach stand-up better.
Yeah.
But now something has shifted in LA, and it just feels nicer.
I love LA. Like, I'm not an LA hater. I think there's things about it that I do hate, but I mean, New York also has a lot of downsides. But nobody will give me enough money here to work here. And so I feel pathetic. So I can't be here until people will just give me money.
I mean, you could go camp out outside these Supreme stores with all the streetwear kids and try and flip some shoes.
I don't want to do anything but comedy. I'm 37 years old. It's too late. I'm not going to fucking do that. You know.
Fair enough. That's I think that's one of my favorite Mark Maron quotes. Is something along the lines of, I once you do comedy long enough, you get rid of all of your other like marketable skills.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep slotting in those jobs now.
My buddy David Drake, who's a really funny comic out of New York. He's one of the guys that runs Comedians You Should Know there. Probably one of the best shows actually in New York. He has a joke about, because he was a very successful, or like he was a professional copywriter in the ad business, and then he did comedy, and he hasn't done copywriting for 10 years. And it's just basically like the biggest glaring gap in employment for 10 years. That's all he's doing with comedy. He's just creating a gap in employment on his resume. And I don't feel the same way, because I'm just like a great comic, and I don't worry about anything.
You got a career going.
When I come to LA, they roll out the carpet and they give me at least one spot a week at the Comedy Store.
That's hey,
the real royal treatment.
Yeah, it's really you make you feel loved.
Yep.
Well, look at my transition. Speaking of things that we love, not the movie you're talking about today. You're talking about a movie you hate. You're talking about Inception.
Yeah, and I actually just watched it, and I didn't like it again, and it made me uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah, you know how like people, I was thinking about this, you know how people like a movie that scares them? They're like, I like to be scared. Or like, I like to like a movie that makes me think. Inception just made me just like, it just made me upset, because I was just like, ugh, is this real? And why would they had to have spent, upwards of $100 million to make. I mean, what's the budget on that?
The budget on Inception was $160 million.
So $160 million to make us generally feel uncomfortable. No, thank you, ma'am.
You're not a fan of movies that make you feel tense and uncomfortable in general?
I mean, I like a thriller.
Okay.
I love a spy thriller, but there's no resolution. And it also made me realize something. I don't know if you want to like how you pace this, but like there's a broader theme that I don't like. And I love Christopher Nolan. I think his gift to the comic book movie world changed history, basically.
Right.
Like he changed the entire perception of a superhero, and like the way he just made them like so much more relatable and grounded while also heightening them. But he has this veneer, and I don't know if it's the artistic directors or the DPs that he uses, but there's like this kind of like sepia. All of his movies look like whiskey ads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I think there's something there. You're spot on in that.
It's
everything feels kind of through this specific filter.
Everything is like a contemporized version of like a 1940s, 50s, like men in sharp suits, and it works. Like I think he's probably close to auteur level with his kind of like pattern of success. Although, I mean, what the fuck was Dunkirk?
I think Dunkirk was his best movie, but I hated Interstellar. So who knows? I'm all over the map with Christopher Nolan.
See, that's funny because I think Interstellar was one of my favorite of his movies.
Huh.
It was Dark Knight Rises and what's the Joker one's Dark Knight Rises?
Joker was Dark Knight. Bane's Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, so those two are my favorite of his movies. And then Interstellar. But here's the thing with Interstellar that I got to admit. I forgot to take my antidepressants the day that I saw it. And I was probably not in the healthiest of mind states. And I like left it being like, anything's possible.
I mean, that's kind of what I think what Interstellar wants you to kind of think. So it worked. That's good. Good job on feeling the message. Did you see it in theaters?
Yeah, I did. I actually saw it at a private showing. I think it was oddly Rob Dyrdek rented out one of the Mandarin theater.
Okay.
Like one of the big ones. And we saw it in 72 millimeter or whatever. But I was just feeling wonky. I think I was recently sober, and it was like, I don't know, it just landed in a way. And then I like left the theater, and I was like, oh, I feel fuzzy because I haven't taken my antidepressant today. Antidepressant. And then, it wasn't. When I look back on it now, it's got a lot of issues. Like there's, so many weird, like, Interstellar is so bifurcated and long, and there's the stuff on the ground, and then there's the stuff in the laboratories, and there's the stuff on the spaceship, and then there's the stuff on the planets, and they kind of don't seem to coalesce.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that for sure.
But Inception, it felt like a commercial for me. I don't know. I didn't. It never felt like. I don't know why. I think I don't like Leo too.
Is that you got a problem with Leo?
I don't know. It just like some movies I watch and I get completely sucked in, and then there's other movies that I watch and I'm entertained. Like I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you know, like I like most movies. I'm not a movie hater, but I think that Leo. There's something that happens with Leo that I don't know. I don't know why I don't like him, and I respect him, but I don't know. There's something. I saw him one time at the store too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember he came in. What was it?
He saw one of the big roast battles. I want to say.
That sounds about right. There's been a lot of random celebrities who showed up for roast battle.
I just remember he was at the store, and I didn't know he was there, and like. I was like just like sitting on the patio talking shit with somebody, and then I like looked up and I was like, "Who's this grizzled motherfucker?" And it was Leo, just like giant beard, and he got in like one of the coolest looking sports cars that I've ever seen. And I actually like Leo as a person. Like his whole like try to like save the planet thing is pretty cool to me. But,
right. So, Inception.
Yep.
2010. This movie was. This was just after Dark Knight. This is his first movie after Dark Knight blows up, gets him. I mean, Christopher Nolan had already found a degree of success, but this is like on another level because Dark Knight was famously snubbed for Best Picture at the Oscars. A lot of people had a problem with that, and so then Inception it does feel. I mean, rewatching it, I watched it on a plane. You watched it on a plane as well, right?
No, I actually watched it on my laptop.
On your laptop. I rewatched this on a plane flying back to the U.S. From Canada, and it feels. There's definitely parts that I was watching it and I was afraid I wasn't gonna like it. I was afraid it wasn't gonna hold up because I like Inception. I think it's a really solid movie. It's not like beyond the pale great the way I used to think it was when I watched it before, but I'm like, this is still a solid movie. But it got all sorts of accolades. It got nominated for Best Picture. Christopher Nolan.
It got nominated for Best Picture?
It got nominated for Best Picture. It got nominated for a bunch of Oscars. It won 4 Oscars. It was nominated for 8. Let's see.
All right.
Nominated for Best Picture.
Simpler times.
Best Original Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, Sound Editing, Sound Mixing, and Visual Effects.
See, that's how docile and naive the Obama years were, that we would see a movie like this and be like, wow, that's great. That's really great.
Right.
And then in 2016, a mere 6 years later, after this film was made, our reality broke, and then we realized that everything is garbage and a lie.
Right.
And such simpler times.
It says a lot that after the first movie that Christopher Nolan made in that time frame was Dunkirk, going from making like high concept sci-fi and comic book movies and Interstellar, and then he's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do a war story now. We're gonna do something grounded.
You know what I think that was? I think that was like some ode to like a family member or something, because he's British.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that had to do with. I think that had something to do with him like he went home and he was like in whatever the Lake District, and he saw his grandpa's medals or something, and he was like, I fucking owe it to me pops, or some bullshit like that.
I'm gonna roll up the sleeves on my suit.
I did like Dunkirk, but here's the thing: I don't get the point of these movies. Like, my favorite movies are like Zodiac, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Okay.
I'm try to think of like another like well-known. I mean, nobody saw Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I really like The Dancer Upstairs.
I've never even heard of The Dancer Upstairs.
John Malkovich's, I think, one and only directorial debut. Javier Bardem plays a cop following the leader of the Shining Path.
Okay.
Sendero Luminoso.
Okay.
Big into political upheaval of Latin America. Me, not maybe John. But I don't know. It's just these movies don't suck me in a way that like they don't seem to have like natural story like structure.
Right.
Like, and for some reason, I don't know if I'm naive or something, but it just didn't, it didn't like suck me in. And I'm not like a Nolan hater. Like I said, like I like him. I think he makes good films, but this one, it's just like the fucking levels, like you're in a dream and then you're in a dream and then like, wait, he doesn't know if it's real, and he's like his wife, he fucked his, like.
Well, there's all these. The thing with the script that I remember people had complaints about when this movie came out initially, and watching it again, I'm like, oh yeah, I see the seams. This is very clearly like, it's exposition. This I forgot how long this movie is, by the way.
Two and a half
hours.
Yeah,
this movie has. Probably an hour and a half, a full other movie's worth of exposition to explain all of the dream logic and the things that happen, like the time dilation and the architecture and limbo and whatever other shit that I can't remember right now from Christopher Nolan's dream corkboard that he has lines going between all the cards.
You got it. You nailed it pretty good. I mean, there's the first hour is explaining how like dream theft works.
Right.
And it's treated like a sleuth movie, which I wanted to like, but I don't know. I feel like I think what really bothered me was his aesthetic that he approached it with, which was this weird, like Louis Vuitton, like African safari motif where it's like all like it's like men in suits in like dark Dakar, Senegal, like smoking lobbies. It was just like it doesn't match for me. Like the same logic would have worked for me with like a Blade Runner motif because that's like sci-fi, right? Like
right.
I'm in sci-fi, and I don't know why he's married to this like weird like whiskey ad aesthetic. It broke. It didn't. The mise en scene. Do you know that?
Yes.
Like it does. It doesn't line up for me. Like why are we doing sci-fi and like Rat Pack together? I don't get that.
Did you feel this way when you first saw the movie as well?
Yeah, but I don't think that I enunciated it because I was with somebody who like would have died for Christopher Nolan. Watching it was Rory Scovel. He like was so in love with Christopher Nolan at that point, and really just Dark Knight. But that was like I don't think I enunciated it just because I didn't want to be a hater,
right?
But it was I felt blueballed by the hype that went into it, and then watching the movie 2.5 hours later, being like, so does the top fall over? Like what's going? Why are you leaving me like that? Are those his kids' faces? I will say there's some very interesting parts of this movie that I think are worth noting. We have a period of time that nobody's appreciating, which was that we thought Ellen Page, with her butch little voice, was not only straight but a star. We thought both those things. We saw Juno and we were like, this woman deserves to be in Blockbusters. This Canadian from Halifax.
And not even just in Blockbusters, a second lead in Blockbusters.
Yeah, she was that big. That's how fucking grasping at straws these Hollywood people are. They see one success and they're like, we found her. And also in the same movie, they don't know what to do with Tom Hardy. Like,
right.
Tom Hardy, probably one of the top 5 greatest living actors right now. And then there was another thing in there that I thought was interesting.
This is also sort of in the Joseph Gordon-Levitt renaissance.
That's
as well.
what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
The weird where we made Joseph Gordon-Levitt like and Shooter kind of feels like the same way, like this like weird thing where we're like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is just a Justin Long with a better story. That's all it is.
And this was also the time when Joseph Gordon-Levitt not only was like back in style after this and 500 Days of Summer and Brick, I think, coming out around this time too.
I think it went Brick, 500 Days of Summer, Inception, Shooter.
Yeah, Looper.
That's what I'm thinking of. Shooter is a TV show with Mark. Well, it's a TV show with Ryan Felipe and a movie with Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, but he also was like a media mogul. I remember because I was on Tumblr a lot back in this day and age, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make him. He's gonna have like a new app, and he's gonna be in charge of like we're gonna crowdsource a movie together."
Yeah, it's a movie music app, right, or some music blog.
Yeah, it was like a
something?
music video. It was a weird. I still don't exactly know what it was. I remember it was really big at Sundance. They made some big announcements about it, and they're like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is backing this new thing called Hit Record.
Yeah, that's it.
And I don't understand completely what it exactly was designed to do.
It was another weird time. It still happens, but it's at least we've quieted down a little bit on that stuff.
The thing with this movie, and I think sort of Christopher Nolan in general, and I say this also as not a Christopher Nolan hater. I do think Christopher Nolan is a really great director, but his whole vibe that I sort of get, he wants to make high quality genre films, right? That's sort of like a baseline. If you analyze what Nolan's doing, that's kind of his whole thing.
Yeah.
But on another like layer under that, he seems to want to make movies that make a general audience feel really smart for watching them.
Yeah. There seems to be a respect for his audience that is. I mean, I think I'm going to go a little bit down the rabbit hole on this one.
Go down that rabbit hole.
I think that we were so pacified during the Obama years that this type of shit flew. Like, we all were so self-congratulatory that we just thought all these things were okay. And it's like literally like the American economy was like just like being gutted from underneath. Just like literally just like neoliberalism was like sweeping our nation. And we were just like so self-congratulatory in the cities. Like, well, like every single small town like had every business replaced by like, you know, like a box store or a chain restaurant.
Right.
And like the Sackler family like handed every single like low-income white family a bottle of OxyContin, and we were just all like just so like nothing could go wrong, dude.
Everybody's just watching this in like an opiate haze, just sitting there being like, "Oh, I want dreams to be like this too."
Yeah, it was.
I'm gonna try and have lucid dreams. I'm gonna look up articles about that on Wikipedia.
I do think that he probably. It's too clean. The whole movie is too clean. That's what I don't like about it. It's like, I don't mind that you're fucking with my reality. I think he did a good job of that.
Right.
But what fucks with me is that it's like, I hate the cleanliness of everything. I hate the art direction. Like, what I love about Blade Runner, which I don't think are similar movies, so it's not like fair to compare them, other than like, I guess
they exist in like a sci-fi-ish world.
And also, Ryan Gosling finds out that there's that weird jump where is he a naturally born cyborg, or is, you know, there's that whole thing.
Right.
I'm talking about Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
But, you know, the old one could also work for this. But the idea that your reality is, you know, being put into question, I think that that's like kind of similar.
Right.
But like when you go to the little factory, like when he's dealing with the guy that plays the hijacker from Captain. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Barkhad Abdi. Yeah, the guy from Captain
Who won the
Phillips.
Oscar, right?
He got nominated.
Yeah, he got nominated for an Oscar. But when he's in his little shop, like it's messy and gross, and there's like little, like that makes sense to me. But then like this guy that's like running this like anesthesia parlor in Mombasa, Kenya.
Right.
It's like everything is just so, like he grabs like the most perfectly aged, like one of these suitcases. That's like what his. It's just a fucking.
Right.
It's a Louis Vuitton suitcase ad.
It's a whole aesthetic that feels. It feels almost like it's sort of wish fulfillment for the audience a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like he's doing it because he knows the audience is going to lap up whatever he's going to throw at him, because Christopher Nolan has them eating out of the palm of his hand. He can throw them the most boring, bland, sterile trappings of an interesting story, and they'll say, "Oh God," and they're going to laud it and think it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Despite everything being bland and whiskey ad colored and everybody's in suits. Like, there's nothing. I mean, it's a heist movie, right? But there's nothing fun, heisty about this movie.
Even the injuries in all, and this goes across the board for basically every Nolan movie, I think, besides Dunkirk, is even when somebody gets injured, there's like a drop of blood.
Right.
It's like, if you get shot, like I want to see a fucking, like I want to see a guy bleeding through his shirt and like there's blood everywhere. That guy gets shot and everybody's like, oh no, and their suits are fine.
Yeah.
You know?
They're gonna slow down. We're gonna slow down time. We'll make sure he doesn't bleed through his nice suit that he's developed over the course of 3 separate dreams.
I will say the best art direction in the whole movie, the part that I think like could have been the ancient city where him and his wife went.
Oh yes, where they unconstructed dream space.
Yeah,
in limbo. Yes,
dream space. I didn't mind that. I found it kind of whatever. I liked as it crumbled. I thought that was an interesting like the reality is crumbling.
Right.
But the best art direction was the socialist modern brutalist hospital thing that they went to, where like it's like in the snow.
Oh yeah, when they're trying to
Incept,
it's like the
final level
Inception,
of Inception.
yes.
And then when they go into that chamber and there's that hospital bed with that great Irish actor, what's his name?
Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah, died last year, right?
Either last year or a couple years ago.
Yeah,
but he's
recently.
so great.
Yeah, he's really great. What was he in? Where he was like what was the thing that he was in where he was the kind of lead gangster?
He was in The Town. He did that. I know.
Was
he's
that
done some
that was
other
The
stuff.
Town? Yeah, that was like where he like sold the flowers. Or it was like
I
he
think
ran like
so.
a flower shop or something. The Town, I think, was his last movie.
I believe it was. I'm gonna double check on that.
Some
But
kind of Irish shit.
yeah, he was, because The Town was like when we still liked Jeremy Renner before this whole Jeremy Renner app and music video debacle that he seems to have gotten himself into.
There is a weird. I think it's to a deficit. You have to do it with Batman, but like, and also you have to do it with. I'm never mad at using. I'm never mad about using Tom Hardy, Marion Cotillard, or who plays Alfred?
Michael Caine.
Yeah, Michael Caine. Those 3 make sense to me. But he also has this like marriage to like Cillian Murphy. Like that whole movie is just it's like he needed to like he knew it was going to take so long to make Dark Knight Rises that he like was like, don't worry guys, I got this movie. We'll all make a little bit of cash. It'll be fun. And he like it's literally I think it's 75% the cast of Dark Knight Rises is in Inception.
Yeah, I think so. The only people I know Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in it. I know, is Ellen Page in it?
No.
Marion Cotillard's in it.
Yep.
Tom Berenger, I feel like, shows up in Dark Knight Rises.
I think he plays like a DA or something.
Yeah, something like that. Leo's
actually,
not in it.
I want to say that Tom Berenger might be the best casting in the whole movie.
Tom Berenger's great in Inception.
Yeah, he's such a good. Is he still alive?
Tom Berenger, I believe so.
Because he's great. He's so underused. Like, I think that the next time if a casting director is listening to this, the next time you need Dennehy and you can't get him, call Berenger.
Berenger's fucking crushing
Berenger's
it.
a beast.
That's the I will say, among the other things that Christopher Nolan does sort of typically do well, his casting of older dudes from the 80s is very on point. I can't wait to see what he does. He's bound to have like Steve Guttenberg or something in the next movie he does.
What's his next movie?
I don't know. I think he's doing something with the guy from Black Klansman.
Oh, Adam Driver?
No. John David Washington.
The lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He's got, and Tom Hardy I think Tom Hardy stands out in Inception because he's playing his character such a different kind of. It's like he's almost out of another movie.
Yeah,
everybody else is very just flat, and Tom Hardy's just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's radioactive. Like you can't just put Tom Hardy in a movie and just hope, that it works out. I need to go back and watch that rom-com that Tom Hardy did with Reese Witherspoon.
Tom Hardy was in a rom-com.
Yeah, he's in a rom-com with Reese Witherspoon and Chris Pine.
What?
Wait, Chris Pine is Captain Kirk, right?
Yeah, I do remember. They're both like competing spies or something, right?
And they're competing for Reese Witherspoon.
Oh man!
And I think that Tom Hardy, like publicly, like before the movie was even released, was like it was a big mistake.
Reese Witherspoon, the queen of strange rom-com ideas.
Yeah, I just talked about produced it.
I just talked about Fever Pitch on this, and that was another weird rom-com for her to decide to be involved with. It's just Jimmy Fallon being a big Boston fan.
Here's the funny thing about it. Fever Pitch is the reason why I'm an Arsenal supporter, because it's a Nick Hornby book about the heartache of being an Arsenal supporter.
Right.
And there's a brilliant British version of the movie.
With Colin Firth?
Yes, exactly. And actually Dylan Moran is in it too. The Irish comic. But the American one is a travesty. But Reese Witherspoon isn't in it.
No.
It's
oh my god, I keep mixing these fucking two
what's
up.
her name? Megan.
No, I think it is Reese Witherspoon.
No, it's not. It's Firestarter.
Fever Pitch.
It's the girl that married Tom Green, the lady, the woman.
Oh god.
Why can't I think of her name?
Because we can't. She's
an unremarkable superstar.
Yeah. This is what I said on that episode too. We see her on. Somebody asked if they thought she was, what's her name? Oh God, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
That's the one.
She's the most unremarkable, super famous person.
She's just bland. She's just there. But okay, so Christopher Nolan's upcoming film. It's called Tenet. This is one of the most Nolan-y descriptions of a movie. An action epic evolving from the world of international espionage.
Love it.
It's got John David Washington, Robert Pattinson.
Love both of them.
Elizabeth Debicki, Aaron Taylor Johnson. She was in Widows. She was very, very good in Widows.
Which one is she?
She's the white one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like her a lot.
The tall white lady.
She's the one that played the like kind of trashy strippery one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, Dimple Kapadia, who I've never heard of. What has Dimple been in? Dimple, what you been in? An Indian film actress who predominantly appears in Hindi films. I've seen no Hindi films, so I've never seen
That's another
Dimple.
thing that Nolan will do is Nolan will pull somebody from the depths of another genre of film and just be like, you're going to be this now.
Dilip Rao, shout out. Clemens Posey, and then the classic Nolan moves, get some old white dudes in there. Kenneth Branagh.
Love
and
it.
Michael Caine.
I feel like it's so bizarre. He just he goes on his movie that he's making before, and he's like, "Hey Ken, by the way, great scene. That's a wrap. But what are you doing in October?"
Yeah,
that must be it. I don't know.
It must be. Well, Nolan's got this weird. I love Christopher Nolan. It's interesting watching his movies back now as somebody who's not as like wowed and young as I was when I first saw them. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I see. I mean, I see what you're doing. You're clearly benefiting from the fact that you're willing to go big and bombastic on and retell these stories in a way that feels more entertaining than just doing it traditional comic book style or traditional like heist movie or sci-fi movie style.
Yeah, it pissed me off a little bit. I felt like watching Inception kind of like pulled back the curtain a little bit on a bunch of movies that I like. And I think actually, you know what? Like, I think that was something that I liked about Interstellar was that it wasn't as clean and it wasn't, but they all do this thing where they have the same lighting, the same colors.
Yeah.
The same like that house in Interstellar was supposed to be so dirty, right? Because there's like dust in the air, and there's what's that called when the soil gives up?
Oh, it goes fallow.
Yeah, like the phalid soil, and fallowed soil, not fallid.
Fallid soil. That sounds like it could be a rom-com that Drew Barrymore's in. She's got to take over her pa's farm, and there's a nice young farmhand.
She never ever would go to that last speech therapy class to fix that. She never would do it. And so we've had to listen to that just minor lisp for 30 plus years.
Just a little tiny bit.
Did you know that's considered one of the best coffee makers?
Yeah, that my girlfriend currently is quote unquote borrowing that from her old boss.
Oh yeah, that's a good coffee maker. Sorry to go down the side thing, but everything is done. One thing that they did in Interstellar was that they had a little bit, because it was a sci-fi movie, there was a little bit of a kind of dirtiness around it, and the spaceship was directed well. The like robot was such a good robot. The one that walked like this.
Tars.
Yeah,
Good
Tars.
robot.
That was a good robot. The way that it, like, when it needed to go fast and all of a sudden it turned into a wheel, everybody was like, yeah, wheel. But I just think his art direction is so. Even Dunkirk it's that like minor sepia with like a lot of browns and blues. I know this is like a very specific thing. Like, people are like, that's not what I see in movies. But when I'm going back and I'm like watching all these things as a film nerd, like those things, it's such a consistent color scheme.
Right. There's always a snippet of every Christopher Nolan movie that you could take out and watch it and then put like Dior over the end of it, and it becomes a perfume ad.
Yeah, and then like that's what I think is like more interesting about like a Denis Villeneuve or whatever. I don't know how to say his fucking stupid French name. But
come on, be less French, you fucking
Can you say it?
French Canadian. Denis Villeneuve. I probably am saying it wrong.
Villeneuve or Villeneuve, whatever. I know
it's
Villeneuve probably. But if you watch the difference between Blade Runner and Sicario, like those are two drastically different movies. Like the art direction on Blade Runner 2049 is just like so amazing. I mean, like those glowing amber shots where like it's just pollution, and it's not that different, but there's like so much more color variety and dirtiness and reality. Like even the desks are messy.
Right.
Like when you look at a Christopher Nolan desk, it is so. If he wants to make a desk messy, he makes it in such a contrived way where it's like, I don't know, that
the crumpled up papers are stacked up in just the right way.
They're stacked up too high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
they're stacked up. It's like comically tall, but there's also a couple like that are loose that are just sitting out ready to go.
Yeah. And then when you watch Sicario, it's like completely different. It's like this military, very like benign American kind of like post-Bush. You know, it's just he doesn't. I don't question. It's not douchey, I guess.
Yeah, it's a movie for people who want to say they really like film, but they're not going to like an art house cinema.
Yeah, it's about as far as they're gonna go. It's, you know what it is it's people who say they're fucking trippy and they only smoke weed,
right?
You know, like
yeah,
but they won't. Like if you were like, all right, let's take some DMT, they'd be like, oh, I could never do that.
Let's go do acid in the desert. Why? Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, that's the difference. That's the deepest their film goes. And Midsommar is like the movie. If you really want to get fucking weird, watch Midsommar
or Climax.
Yes.
Oh man! If
Jesus
you actually
Christ.
I felt like I had a bad trip after watching Climax. I felt very unsteady physically after walking out of the theater after I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, like this movie was upsetting. Inception was upsetting, but I think upsetting because I felt like I just had like, I don't know. I felt like I'd like sucked on a nickel or something. I don't know.
There's just something about it. I don't think it's a bad movie still. Like even after rewatching it, I do still think it holds up, but it definitely is like down a notch from me revering it as the sort of gold standard of Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah, I think I just resented that people thought it was so deep.
Yeah, it's not that deep.
Yeah, it's just
It's really straightforward. It's a well-told story. It's definitely too long, and it's a little boring on the direction side. But I mean, I can't watch a movie with like big set piece moments like the hotel scene of everything floating around.
Yeah. I think
not be like, this is impressive.
I think there was two things that I forgot to bring up. One was that I think he highly underutilized Tom Hardy, but also he highly underutilized Marion Cotillard. We only saw one thing of Marion Cotillard, which was that she was crazy and and he actually kind of did it a little similarly in Dark Knight Rises. Like, we don't really get Marion Cotillard is one of my favorite actresses.
She's fantastic.
She, if I've watched her for 20 years, I watched her in all her French films before she came over to America. If you want to see her be amazing, see Rust and Bone with
Jacques Audiard's movie.
Yeah, the one where she loses her legs.
That's right.
It's just hot too.
I've heard she's really good in what was the one the Dardenne brothers movie where she's like trying to convince all of her.
Yes, that's an amazing
What's
movie.
it called? I forget. 2 Days and One Night or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, where she's trying to convince them to give up a benefit or something so that she can save her job.
Yeah.
She's just fantastic, and we didn't see any kind of range, and I'm pissed off that she's been in a relationship with somebody other than me. And then also that was that period of time, I want to say it probably lasted from like 2006 to 2016, where people thought a movie was good because they like blew something up and like stuff floated.
Yeah.
Like, if we really go back, is The Matrix as good as we think it is if those bullets don't do the fucking weird slow-mo thing?
Right. I don't know.
I think that was literally like, everybody was like, holy shit.
It's definitely not as cool as...
The bullets are slow.
In Matrix Reloaded, it's not as cool as it is in The Matrix.
No, and I think that really like half of Inception is like that part where he's explaining the architecture and the world starts to fold in. Like literally like streets move and then like the stuff is going like, you know, like all that. Like, I think that's like half of what everybody loved about it. Is
Everybody
they were just
loved
like,
that.
Holy shit!
They love a good, bwah noise. You can't get away from those.
Best use of that?
Yeah,
Sicario.
Sicario is a movie you should watch instead of Inception.
Wait, no. What is the one? Is it Blade Runner? Who's the one that uses that so good? The.
I think Sicario used that.
Sicario definitely used it, but there was like. Yeah, Sicario used it, like, especially in that opening scene.
Arrival uses it very well also.
Yes, Arrival uses it the best.
Yeah.
Is that Denis?
That's Denis.
Yeah.
That could have been a Christopher Nolan movie, but Arrival's like what if a Christopher Nolan script was given some actual, like, heart and soul.
But the art direction of that movie is very Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. A lot of grays, a lot of muted colors.
A lot of muted colors. It almost actually seems like the inside of that spaceship is a Christopher Nolan set.
Yeah. Well,
interesting.
We really picked this one apart, Andy. I'm glad you brought it up.
Did you have anything that I didn't get to?
No,
because I feel like I talked. You know, it's funny when I was in film studies in college, I would read articles about like art direction or like film choice. You know, like literally like the choice of film. There's like a whole book of essays about Spike Lee films, and like one of them is about like the DP that he used for Crooklyn, like used like specific like tungsten and all this stuff to like make that movie. And I was like, this is so boring. Like, I don't give a shit about this. And now going back, it's like, I'm thinking about like the main thing that bothered me about this movie was the art direction, Inception.
Right. Well, he was using the same cinematographer for years. He was using Wally Pfister, and now he's moved on to, I think, Hoyt van Hoytema? Maybe or Mihai Malamari Jr. or something, but somebody who's got a little bit of a different aesthetic, not crazy different. I don't think Nolan's going to be working with somebody who's like not matching him, but
yeah,
Wally Pfister's definitely sort of like this big industrial.
I need to go back and I need to watch Following because I've never actually seen Following.
Following's pretty good.
Yeah, because I mean I know that's like his first real success.
The only Nolan movie I haven't seen is Insomnia. I got to watch that.
It's very bad.
Yeah?
The one with Al Pacino
And Robin Williams?
It's very, very bad. It's a very bad movie.
I can't wait to see. Is it worse than Inception?
It's like 100 times worse than Inception. It's so bad and bifurcated. I'm starting to realize that Nolan has a really weird story structure. He does like a weird 5-act story structure where there's like 2 mini first acts and then like a bloated third act and then like, you know what I mean? Like it's very weird because like if you look at all, and this doesn't apply to Insomnia. I think Insomnia has literally like 1 act. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Well, like you said, Nolan's a movie that he's a director that does his best to make everybody feel smart and like they're watching like good, high quality filmmaking.
I'll tell you this, Insomnia, probably the most not even, it doesn't need this qualification that I'm giving it. It has the exact same color structure. It has the exact same it has the exact same like tones. It's all redwood, blue water, and green trees. It's like that fucking, it could be an ad.
Yeah. Well, Andy, thanks for coming in today, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, where can the listeners find you on the internets and such?
I'm at everything at I'm Andy Haynes. The conjunction, not I am. Please follow me on LinkedIn. And I have a podcast called Be Best, which it's not good, but, try to listen to it.
Try and listen to it.
And then I'm doing a bunch of stand-up, so just go to my website. It's the same thing, I'mAndyHaynes.com. And you can find all my dates there. And if I have like some digital stuff coming out, some TV appearances coming up, it's all on there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram. JLightComedy.com for show dates. Album coming out soon, probably October. I'll keep you guys posted on that. You know what to do. You'll find it. This is it. Andy, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.